So there's been a lot of drama surrounding this recent announcement and upcoming release of the Panasonic Lumix S9. And well, I wanted to talk about it because this involves a lot of things that I myself as a creator have been thinking about, but also as somebody who actually creates content, it really doesn't make sense at all. And so before I get into this, let me kind of give you my background and my perspective on this. So right now, I am shooting this with a Panasonic Lumix G85 Micro Four Thirds camera. And a little bit of history on where I've come from in terms of that. Originally, this is the very first camera that I use here on YouTube. And this is a Sony CyberShot, so I wouldn't really consider this a real camera. This is more of a compact camera. And after that, I use my smartphone, as most people do. That is going to be their main camera for both photography and video. But my start was with this Sony CyberShot, and well, I'm really happy to say that because, well, it kind of all comes around, because after that, I decided to get my first real camera, which is this Panasonic G85 Micro Four Thirds camera. And I really love absolutely everything about it, except for one huge problem. And this is a problem that everybody who knows camera knows now, and it is its video autofocus. It was just really unreliable. And I think for me as a creator who does a lot of these types of videos, it was basically unusable, so I would just use the manual focus. And because of that, I ended up going back to the Sony world. And so my start was with the Sony CyberShot, but then I got the Sony A7 IV full frame camera, and it is an absolutely amazing camera, and practically everything that I wanted in a camera was there, especially reliable video autofocus. But after about a few years of using the camera, I realized that there were a lot of things that I loved about the Panasonic camera that I was missing. And then I decided to go back to Panasonic with this one right here. This is the Panasonic Lumix S5 2X full frame camera, and I have it right here. So let's go ahead and get into this whole Lumix S9 drama and how I think it just doesn't make sense for the vast majority of people out there. Okay, so now that you've got a little bit of history of where I'm coming from, let's go ahead and talk about this drama, because I bring in also a little bit of perspective that might be different from other creators, because I myself am a marketer. I'm in digital marketing. I've been doing this for more than 10 years, and so I can kind of understand a lot of why brands do what they do, and also as a creator how you're doing brand and personal marketing. And so I also bring in that perspective as well. And so if you didn't know what's going on, whenever the Panasonic Lumix S9 was announced, there were a lot of creators that were flown into Japan by Panasonic to actually review it, do overviews, actually talk about the camera and use it. And this is something that is normal. You've probably seen a whole bunch of these type of creator marketed videos from Sony, Canon, Nikon, Fuji. Every single manufacturer, if they have the marketing budget, they're going to do this. And that's something that I thought was normal. But then after this camera was announced, the videos started coming out. A lot of people started, I would say, attacking these creators, calling them shills and saying this is all a marketing thing and they're just being disingenuous. And that's where I kind of was thinking, that's really, really interesting. Because whenever Sony does this, and Sony does it a lot, Canon does it a lot, like I said, every single manufacturer, if they have the marketing budget, they're going to do this. I didn't see the same level of just hate for this, especially against the actual creators themselves. And that's where the drama comes in, because if you're from the outside looking in, you might be looking at this and saying, yeah, those creators were all paid off to say good things about this. They got a free trip to Japan. They got this camera for free, all that stuff. And of course, they are very biased. They're shills for these companies. And that's where I kind of have a problem with it, because me being a creator, I've been here on YouTube and other platforms for more than 10 years. I've done more than 1,000 plus videos. I kind of know the struggles and the challenges of doing this. And at the same time, for most people out there, they're probably not the people using these cameras in the way that these creators do. And I know creator is a very big and broad term, but let's just say they use these cameras to create content, whether it's for their living or as a hobby, or they just really love these type of things. That's kind of why these cameras are marketed in the way they do, because they actually have to have a target demographic for the products that they are selling. So for a lot of these companies, especially these big companies, they do a whole bunch of market research for any of the products that they're going to put R&D in and then finally release to the market. And so they have an idea, and with a lot of analysis and data to prove that this could be a viable product that people are going to buy. And obviously they're going to look for people who are in this field, in this niche, that they're going to provide these to first, so then they could market their product in the best light possible. And practically all companies do the same things. There's never going to be a time where they want to have bad marketing, unless it's intentional, where they get a lot of bad press is also good press. But the vast majority of companies, they want to push the best things about their product or service. And with all the research that they've done, all the money that they spent, they definitely want to get an ROI on their investment. And this is where we get into more of the drama of the Panasonic Lumix S9, because once the videos started coming out, people started actually attacking these creators, calling them shills, liars, and being disingenuous. And all of these things, even though a lot of these creators have done the same thing for other brands, namely Sony, Canon, Nikon, and Fuji, and then for other brands like Olympus as well, and even Pentax for some of these creators. And a lot of these creators doing YouTube or being a content creator isn't their primary thing, or isn't the only thing that they do, because a lot of these, they are working professionals. This is actually what they do for a living. And I kind of feel like they probably have a lot of experience and knowledge on this. So whenever I was watching their videos, I didn't think nothing of it. But then once it started getting attacked, and videos even from other creators talking about this, it really surprised me, because I didn't see the same things, or not at least the same levels, as a Sony release or a Canon release. And if we're talking about comparisons in this whole field of full frame compact cameras, there's really not that many. About the closest competitor to the S9 is the Sony ZV-E1, and that one is around $1,800 to $1,900 US just for the body alone, and then the S9 is around $15 US. Now the thing is, there are pros and cons to every camera. There's definitely things that are missing in the S9, like no EVF, but at the same time the ZV-E1 also doesn't have an EVF. And there's also things that the S9 offers that other cameras don't. For example, it has open gate 6K recording, real-time LUTs, which the ZV-E1 and even their higher end cameras don't offer, but they're charging more money. And then when you come to other brands like Canon, their lenses are very expensive, and they want to keep other manufacturers from producing third-party lenses, which would be less expensive. But yet, we don't get the same level of hate for that. And so it really makes me wonder, why are they doing this, and who is it coming from? And of course, we could also go to the whole brand, Sony, Canon, and whatever brand you want to talk about, fanboys and fangirls. There's always going to be those. And the thing is, a lot of these people who are leaving these comments, attacking these creators, they themselves do not have the Lumix S9. I would say the vast majority don't have it, and they don't have these real-world use. And that's something that just baffles my mind. But at the same time, this is nothing new when it comes to the whole world of gear and products. There's always going to be those, but the level of this is so much higher than what I recall with other camera releases or other camera brands. Now, with all of that in mind, am I just saying to blindly believe these creators? Well, of course not. Whenever you're watching these videos or seeing this content, at the end of the day, you need to do your own research, make your own decisions, and come to your own final decisions on what gear to buy. Because at the end of the day, it is your money, and your needs are going to be way different from everybody else. And as much as I love and respect a lot of these creators who are making this content, there's definitely going to be those who will do anything for money, and typically you'll figure those people out. And so that's what I want to say about the whole drama versus the creators specifically. I don't understand it, and you really need to take the time to just look at this whole thing from a much bigger point of view, and maybe check out these creators' videos all the way through and kind of see their history, not only with Panasonic, but with other brands as well. And finally, let's go ahead and talk about the S9 briefly, because I think for a lot of people out there, beyond this whole drama thing, they want to know, is this a good camera, or maybe a camera that might be good for me? And once again, I will say there's going to be pros and cons, and everybody's needs going to be different. But from my own personal point of view, this is kind of the camera that I wanted to go along with my Lumix S5 IIX, because it offers a lot of the main features and benefits that the new cameras provide, but it's going to be a lot smaller and compact. And that's one of the biggest things that I find with having a full frame camera. It's just a lot to carry around, especially if you're doing vlogs and stuff. And ever since Panasonic introduced their brand new phase detect hybrid system, I've absolutely loved using this camera. And so whenever I'm doing these type of videos now, I don't really have to worry about whether or not things are going to be in focus, at least for these type of videos that I'm creating. And that's something that I've always wanted in not only a Panasonic camera, but just cameras in general. I really want to have features that work well, work reliably and consistently, because at the end of the day, these are tools. These are tools that you're going to use to create. And I know the whole idea of specs, talking about the latest gear and all of those things that can be exciting, but at the end of the day, these are tools that you're going to use on a regular basis, and I would say that is the most important thing. And with cameras like the S9, they just make you want to create from everything that I've seen. And I myself more than likely will end up getting the S9, but probably not at the price that they're asking, because at $1,500 for the body alone, that's not too far off from the S5 II, which is around, I think, like $1,800, somewhere around there. And that camera is a lot more capable. It has a lot more, I would say, unlimited features versus the S9, which has more limited features due to the compact size and nature. And so I'm going to be waiting for a sale on that camera. And at the same time, there's also going to be firmware updates. So maybe they will, remove things like this whole time limit thing, 10 minutes for 6K open gate, 15 minutes for 4K, and 20 minutes for 1080p full HD. And so hopefully they're able to do that, or at least give you a high mode like the Sony A7 IV. It had a high temperature mode that allows you to shoot a lot longer before it actually overheats. And those are some of the things that I think Panasonic can do with a firm release. And then other things like not having a hot shoe or not having a headphone jack to monitor your audio. Even though those things are important, I don't think these things are absolutely necessary for the demographic that they're targeting. They're targeting people who want a higher quality camera versus their phone, but at the same time who also wants to get into the whole world of cameras, specifically with a full frame and getting a whole bunch of features that Panasonic is known for. And so I think in general, this camera is going to do well if they bring down the price. If it's at the price that they are right now, and Sony is going to be bringing down the prices of their cameras. Canon, I doubt it. Fuji, yeah, they're probably going to be bringing down their prices as well to match this. And so there's going to be a lot of interesting things coming in the next few months and this year. But at the end of the day, I think this is a product that's going to be good for the market, giving another entry into it, giving a lot of features for the money, and giving, I would say, more competition to these other companies. So if you actually had any thoughts on this, be sure to leave in the comments area below. And if you did want to see my video where I talked about going back to Panasonic from Sony, I will leave that video in the description area below. So as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on another episode. Hey geeks, if you are a brand new creator and you simply want something easy to get you started, well, I got something for you with my Creator Starter Kit. This is a super simple step-by-step guide that's going to take you from having no channel to developing your very first YouTube channel, along with ideas, thumbnail designs, and other creator tips, including marketing. And the best part is, all of this is free. Simply head over to the link below, check out my page, and get started creating.